Hey everyone, it's Natalie here. I'm here in your email box today to tell you a little bit about nutrition for your sun protection. So I really think that you're gonna get a lot from this, but um, ultimately it's really important that we talk about these kinds of things because if you've ever gotten a severe sunburn in your life, or if you do a lot of activity outside, this has a lot to do with our skin, and getting exposure to sun can really affect our bodies. And so we want to be safe, but we also want to be aware of the negative effects of certain sunscreens and chemicals and all these kinds of things, and how we can optimally protect our skin from the harmful rays from the sun, but also to promote ultimate optimal wellness. And so let me just share a little bit more with you. Like I said, if you have any of these things, you're definitely going to need to tune into this today and learn about how to protect your skin from the sun. You might be especially interested if you are concerned about the chemicals that are affecting your skin, as well as the environment and your overall health. So we have been told by pretty much our whole lives by people who sell sunscreen, quite honestly, that if you wear sunscreen, that you are going to protect yourself from skin cancer. And so that's the number one reason why we use sunscreen, right? But the truth is that research shows, this is a research study by Green and Pandya, I got this from the Environmental Workers Group website, but they have found that there's not a lot of strong evidence that sunscreen use prevents basal cell carcinoma. And that's because people who tend to wear sunscreen often don't apply it regularly, and they end up getting sunburned anyways. And when we wear sunscreen, that actually turns off our body's ability to warn us that we need to get out of the sun. So, what they're finding is that we're actually getting a lot more cases of new melanoma cases among Americans, and since the 70s, it's actually tripled since the 70s. So that's quite concerning. So we're wearing sunscreen, and people are still actually getting some skin cancer. So we need to figure this out. It's not only there's not only that reason that we're still getting skin cancer, but we also are getting increased rates of vitamin D deficiency because we need the sun's rays, and specific rays that I'll explain in a second. They are really necessary to help us produce vitamin D. So vitamin D deficiency can actually prevent, ultimately, cancer and other immune deficiencies and problems, especially with our skin. And so I love Dr. McCullough. He states that for every one death from skin cancer due to excessive sun exposure, there's more than 200 people who die from cancers due to insufficient amount of vitamin D. So the vitamin D issue is a really big one. So we need to make sure we're getting our optimal vitamin D, but also protecting ourselves from skin cancer and like too many sunburns and things like that. Another big reason that we want to address in this kind of video is that there's estimated to be 14,000 tons of sunscreen that's deposited in oceans annually, and that creates a lot of damage to our popular reef areas, especially Hawaii and the Caribbean and outside of New Zealand. The sunscreen chemicals are killing our coral reefs and affecting not only our natural environment, but ourselves. The Centers for Disease Control Prevention routinely detects some of the chemicals that are in the sunscreens in 96% of Americans. So these are in our water, they get into our water sources, and now we are constantly consuming these chemicals. and they have strong hormonal effects. They can definitely, I mean, there's not a lot of research out there with their links to acne, but if you have issues with energy, if you have issues with your hormones, if you have issues with acne, and detoxing issues like me, these chemicals are definitely culprits. And so the less that we ultimately as a whole can use them, the better. So the Environmental Workers Group strongly disagrees with the FDA's decision to allow sunscreen makers to claim that their products prevent cancer. And we're also concerned that the labeling will lead people to rely more on the sunscreens and less on some of the natural ways. So we really want to reduce these chemicals, and in order for us to understand how we can better protect ourselves from skin cancer and some of these other harmful effects of sunscreen, we need to understand exactly what's going on with the sun. So the sun has a lot of broad spectrum of different UV rays, but specifically these two have been studied a lot, and UVA and UVB are specific UV rays. We need UVB rays to help us produce vitamin D. So vitamin D rays interact, those photons interact with our skin, and when we absorb those photons, they interact with, combine with cholesterol and other necessary ingredients to help us produce our own vitamin D. And vitamin D is actually a hormone. So we need a lot of these different kinds of things like fat, healthy fats to help us produce vitamin D. And then the other problem though with this is that UVB rays also make us sunburn. And it's unfortunately though, when we wear sunscreen, we are going to help us keep us from sunburning, but we're not going to get the ultimate amount of vitamin D that we need. So we're actually stopping ourselves from producing a very potent antioxidant and hormone and genetic regulator. So we really need to allow ourselves to get enough vitamin D without putting the sunscreen on for at least 20 minutes. So this is why sunscreen doesn't work. The SPF 8 reduces vitamin D production by 98%, and SPF 15 or more reduces vitamin D production by 99%. So just SPF 8 will still cause a lot of poor vitamin D production. And if we just spend 20 minutes in the sun, and you can start slow, 10 to 20 minutes in the sun with no sunscreen, then your body can produce up to 20,000 IUs of vitamin D, and your body will store that for later use. And so that's kind of my recommendation, is that I'll go out in the sun, and this, it's probably good to put a timer on. I've totally done this and forgotten to put sunscreen on after, but you want to apply after you've been in the sun for at least 20 minutes or so. Or you want to at least make sure you can get out of the sun after 20 minutes, or you can cover up your skin, and that'll work. And that's because sunscreen, if we're using sunscreen traditionally, and even the healthier types of sunscreen, it's blocking the UVB rays, which is great, but you're not blocking the UVA rays. And so you want to look for a broad spectrum sunscreen, and the broad spectrum sunscreen uses some of those sunscreens are going to be thick, and white, but those are the ones that do the best. So those have zinc oxide and titanium oxide, I believe, is what you want to look for chemical-wise, instead of the oxybenzoate and all those other terrible, things. So these chemicals are not good. And so let's just talk about why we burn in the first place, though. So I think this is fascinating that vitamin D production, we really need that. And if we are sunburn, if we're getting a sunburn, that could mean a few things. Sunburn is a way for us, our body, to tell us that we're not, you know, we're done being in the sun, that we've gotten optimal amount of vitamin D potentially. But if you burn, you're going to be using up a lot more of your antioxidants and a lot more of your immune boosting vitamins and nutrients to help heal that. So we want to prevent the sunburn for sure. Yeah. So anyways, we want to make sure that we are not burning, and that yet at the same time we have this balance of getting optimal amounts of vitamin D to protect our whole health. So some of my greatest recommendations for nutritional lifestyle, I've already kind of mentioned. You want to ease into the sun, especially at the beginning of the summer, but you know, we're kind of midsummer. You just want to start to get a little base tan. And the more melanin that you have in your skin, the darker you are, that means that you need to stay in the sun longer. So for me, 20 minutes is pretty good. But for other people who are darker than me, staying out longer and longer is going to actually be more beneficial. Then you want to avoid the sunscreens with the bad toxic chemicals. So you can go onto the Environmental Workers Group website. I love this, and they have a Skin Deep app, and you can research your own sunscreen that you have right now and just check in and see, okay, is this a toxic one? And then they will also recommend other beneficial sunscreens that are much better for the environment, but also way better for you. All of those chemicals have been shown to disrupt our whole biology. They interrupt our hormone system, and that's a huge conflictor with our liver, and burden our liver, and really can interfere with our whole health, but especially acne. And then vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. So, and we also need to have some cofactors to help optimally absorb vitamin D. So cholesterol is one of those, and that's why there's healthy fats like animal fats that I recommend: tallow, lard, duck fat, ghee, grass-fed butter if you can tolerate it. And but cod liver oil is a great way to supplement, and you get this balance of vitamin D and vitamin A. And vitamin A is also very commonly deficient in individuals with immune issues, and all the people that I see in nutrition. Vitamin A is really important for healing and part of the acne. So you can take a vitamin, but the best form of vitamin A to get is from animal proteins and fat, as well as beta carotene from orange colored foods. And so those brightly colored foods, that leads me to antioxidant rich diet, which is going to really help protect you from the sun. When, like I said, you do get some sunburned, you want to you load up the vitamin C. So bright colored foods across the board, and it's great because the summer time gives us plenty of these really beautifully colored variety of vegetables and fruits. And so go to town on all of those things. And then fat digestion support. This is really, really critical. So honestly, for me, I've had a ton of poor fat digestion because of history of eating maybe low fat, and then sometimes you have a burdened liver, and that's can cause some sluggish bile, and that's what we need to help us digest our fats. If you sunburn easily, or if you get sun poisoning at all, I definitely been there. I'm kind of sensitive to the sun, but it's not just because of my fair skin. Actually, it's because of my poor fatty acid. I'm kind of deficient in fatty acids. So these are your EPA and DHA. You want to get fish oils in you, and you want to support your fat digestion organs, so your liver and your gallbladder. So those foods are including, ginger and turmeric, spinach, apple, You can eat desiccated liver, or not desiccated liver, but you can eat liver, and that's really good for your liver. And also beets. I love beets. Beets and bitter greens are going to be the best things for your liver and your gallbladder. So these are kind of what I've left you with, but if you still have a problem with, so I live in Colorado, it's really high elevation. I get really sensitive skin to the sun. So what if you're like me in this climate or in other climates that you need help, more help, I'm here for you. And then if you want to be more healthy and you want to protect yourself from these chemicals, reach out to me, or if you want some brands or whatever, I can definitely recommend them. But the environmental workers group is awesome, and you definitely need to clean up some of those chemicals that we're exposed to. And then if you want to be environmentally friendly, change your diet and change the topical treatments that you're using. And then ultimately, I hope that if this isn't enough for you, you can come to me and I can support you a little bit more with specifics, with getting to, I can talk for days about what I need to do, but when it comes down to actually doing it, I need help, and I get that, and that's why I'm a nutritionist, because I was there and I needed help. And so having someone to connect with and talk about and dialogue about the things that you're trying to do in your life can only promote more of the steps that you're wanting to take in the direction that you're going in. So hope this was helpful, and I will be seeing you guys soon enough.